Most people aren't really listening in conversations. They are just waiting for their turn to speak. If you really pay attention to how most conversations go, you'll start to notice something that people aren't fully present in conversations. They are not listening to understand you. They're listening just enough so that they can respond. And sometimes they're not listening to you at all. They're just waiting for their turn to speak. We've all done it. I know I have in conversations. Um, Someone's talking to you, and instead of actually hearing what they're saying, we're already thinking about what we're going to say next. We are preparing our response. We're planning our point. We're trying to make sure that we are not misunderstood, but we're not actually understanding the other person. And when both people are doing that in a conversation, no one feels heard. That's when conversations start to feel disconnected. That's when you leave the conversation and you're thinking, did they really get me? Did they really get what I was saying? Um, but here's the part that's important to understand. It's not because they don't care. Okay. Sometimes they just don't know how to listen because listening is a skill. And most people are never taught, we were never taught how to listen properly, how to do it properly. We were taught how to speak. We're taught how to respond. We're taught how to explain ourselves, but not how to truly listen. And listening requires something different. It requires you to slow down. And I know that's hard because most of us we're used to thinking fast, responding fast, reacting quickly. So when someone is talking, our instinct is to stay in that same pace, fast, fast, fast. But real listening doesn't happen at that speed. It happens when you slow down and you take a pause, when you stop trying to respond and start trying to understand. And that means letting go of something most people we don't even realize that we're holding on to. And that is the need to be right, the need to be understood immediately, the need to control how this conversation is going to go. Because the moment you shift from what am I going to say next um, to what are they actually trying to say, everything starts to change. You start to notice things that you didn't notice before. Not just their words, but their tone, their pauses, their hesitation. You start to hear what's underneath what they're saying. And a lot of times, what people are saying on the surface is it's not the full message. It's not all of what they're trying to get across to you. Sometimes they're frustrated. Sometimes they're unsure. Sometimes they're trying to explain something that they don't even fully understand themselves. And if you're only listening to respond, you're going to miss all of that. Um, but if you are actually listening to pick up on it, and that's when something changes. That's when there's a shift in this conversation. Because when someone feels understood, they relax and they open up more. They stop trying so hard to explain themselves, and the conversation becomes easier. It becomes more natural, more real. Um, but when they don't feel heard, they do the complete opposite. We repeat ourselves, we over explain, and we get frustrated. Or at times we just shut down completely. And now the conversation, it's not a conversation anymore. It's two people trying to be heard at the same time. And that's where the communication completely breaks down. Not because people don't care, but because they're not fully present. So the shift isn't, let me say it better. Let me explain it differently. It's, let me listen differently. Let me slow down. Let the other person finish. Give yourself a moment before you speak. And while you're taking that moment, ask yourself, did I actually understand what they just said? Did I actually understand them? Because most of the time, we think that we did. We think we understood them, but we only caught part of what they were saying. And that small shift can completely change how your conversations feel. Because when people feel understood, they don't need to say as many words. They don't need to fight to be heard. Again, when someone feels understood, everything becomes clearer, the conversation changes, the connection changes, and the outcome changes.